Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. I always thought I knew my husband, Drew. We met 10 years ago in college, when his laugh could cut through the noise in a room, and his eyes had a way of making everyone feel like they mattered. He was kind, patient, and always predictable in the most comforting way. But it turned out I didn't know everything about him. One unexpected request on a rainy Thursday evening flipped everything I believed about our marriage and me on its head. The rain outside had softened to a drizzle, and our bedroom window was fogged with the mist of the storm that had passed earlier. I was curled up on the bed, reading one of my favorite romance novels when Drew came in. His face looked different. Focused. Not troubled, but intense, like he had rehearsed something in his head and was finally ready to let it out. He sat beside me on the edge of the bed. "Claire," he said, his voice calm but carrying weight, "I've been thinking about something. And I want to ask you something different." My eyes lifted from the page. Different how? He took a breath, rubbed the back of his neck, and chuckled nervously. "Promise me you won't freak out?" My heart thudded a little harder. "Now you're making me nervous." "No, it's nothing bad. Just something I've wanted to try. Something to shake things up." Our marriage hadn't exactly been in trouble, but we had fallen into routines. We both worked busy jobs. He was a marketing executive, I was a graphic designer, and by the time we got home, it was dinner, Netflix, and bed. Passion was still there, but quieter than it used to be. Drew leaned closer and whispered in my ear. The words he said were bold, but not inappropriate. They were filled with desire and curiosity, an invitation into something new. My breath caught. I blinked. I didn't expect that. At first, I wasn't sure how to respond. I just stared at him. His eyes never wavered. I searched his face for signs that he wasn't serious. But he was. "You're serious," I said, voice half laughing. He nodded. "I think it might bring us closer. Or at least, remind us who we were when we first met." The rain picked up again outside, as if the world around us had decided to match the energy between us. I sat up straighter, watching the man I thought I knew become someone more daring, someone who wanted to reignite us. I didn't say yes right away. I needed time. But even as I lay in bed that night, facing away from him, I felt the electricity in his words still dancing across my skin. Over the next few days, I thought about it. Not just what he asked, but why he asked. Was something wrong? Had I become distant? Or was it something deeper? Was he just trying to pull me out of my shell? Either way, I couldn't stop thinking about it. By Saturday, I was ready to answer him. We were having coffee on the porch. He wore that gray t-shirt I loved, the one that made his eyes look darker, more mysterious. "I've been thinking," I said, my voice soft. "About what you asked." He set his mug down and looked at me like he already knew my answer but was afraid to hear it. "I want to try," I whispered. "But only if we take it slow. And only if we keep it between us." Drew leaned in and kissed me with a fire I hadn't felt in years. That kiss was the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with exploration, whispers, glances that lingered longer than before. It wasn't just about the physical. It was about connecting again. About stepping outside of comfort zones. That night, he surprised me again. He had transformed our bedroom. Candles flickered along the dresser, soft music played from the speaker, and our sheets had been changed to something silkier, something that made me feel different just by touching it. He approached me slowly, like I was the center of his gravity, and when he took my hand, it wasn't rushed. It was reverent. Drew had always known how to touch me, not just physically, but emotionally. But now, he seemed to sense what I needed before I even asked for it. That night wasn't wild or reckless. It was intentional, heated, and unforgettable. I woke up the next morning in his arms, feeling like we were newlyweds again. But then, things started to change in a way I didn't expect. He began coming home late from work, texting less. His eyes sometimes looked distant, as if part of him had drifted elsewhere. My instincts were sharp. I had ignored them before in my life, but not now. One night, I confronted him. "Is there someone else?" I asked directly, unable to keep the tremble from my voice. His eyes widened. "What? No. Claire, never." "That's not it." "Then what is it?" Because ever since that night, you've been somewhere else. He sighed and sat on the edge of the bed. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Honestly, I've been thinking about him more. About how I've changed. And how you have too. More? He looked at me like he was peeling back a secret he'd buried deep. Claire, what if there's more we haven't explored yet? I've been reading about relationships. About how couples grow together when they challenge the boundaries of what they think is love. It wasn't infidelity. It wasn't betrayal. But it was a desire to stretch, to grow, to test what it meant to be husband and wife. I didn't know how to feel. Was I scared? A little. Was I excited? Definitely. But also uncertain. That week, Drew planned something unexpected. He rented a cabin in the mountains for just the two of us. No work. No phones. Just as he said. We drove up late on a Friday evening, the roads winding through trees that reached up into the clouds. The cabin was secluded, beautifully rustic, with a hot tub on the deck and a fire pit in the backyard. There were only 2 rules, open minds and no secrets. Over the next few days we talked. About fantasies, fears, dreams, and things we'd never said aloud. The intimacy wasn't just in the touches. It was in the honesty. The heat between us grew from the truth we shared and the vulnerability we allowed. Every night in that cabin, Drew made me feel like the most desired woman alive. But it wasn't just his touches. It was the way he looked at me when I told him I had once doubted myself. The way he listened when I shared insecurities. And when he told me he feared growing old without passion, I wrapped my arms around him and whispered, "We'll keep the fire alive. Together." But something still lingered beneath it all. A shadow of something I couldn't name. The final night in the cabin, he gave me an envelope. I hesitated before opening it. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. Honest. It said that he had once thought of giving up on our marriage. That a year ago, he felt invisible. But instead of leaving, he decided to fight for us in a different way. That unexpected request? It was his way of trying to rebuild the bridge before it collapsed. Tears streamed down my face as I read his words. I had no idea he had come so close to giving up. I had no idea I had made him feel so alone. But his letter didn't end there. It spoke of renewal, of rediscovery, and it ended with one final sentence. "Will you marry me again, Claire? Not because we have to, but because I want to choose you all over again." I laughed through tears. "You're ridiculous," I whispered, and yes. 1,000 times yes. Back in the city, things didn't magically stay perfect. Life was still busy. But we had changed. I had changed. Every day now, we surprised each other. Sometimes with notes. Sometimes with kisses stolen in the hallway. Sometimes with long, slow evenings where we explored each other like we were still learning. That unexpected request didn't just change our marriage. It awakened it. It woke me up. I don't think passion ever really dies. I think it waits. Quietly. Until someone is brave enough to reignite it. And Drew was. And I was. Together, we found something hotter than lust. Stronger than romance. More powerful than routine. We found us again. For my motivation, please don't forget to subscribe and comment.